Hello, true believer, back again in the studio, doing another introduction, this time to Fresh Crow MAGNON Men Season 10. So this was the anniversary trip, my first year of being married to my lovely wife, Joyce, aka Noyce. So Noyce and MFSB are gonna take you through our first wedding anniversary trip, which was a series of adventures across all the major parks in Utah, which if you don't know, there are 5 of them. So this first episode is me, which I'd forgotten about. So it was a blind adventure in that I just said, hey, we're taking this week off. You need to bring both front country and back country stuff and just get in the car. And I'm gonna surprise you with a week's worth of stuff, and who knows where we're going or what we're doing. And this first episode is her just basically being like, so we got in the car and we drove for a long time, and then we woke up and I didn't know where we were, and then we had an adventure. So enjoy the beginning of what was the entire season 10 anniversary adventure trip.
It's Friday night, September 23rd. We drove up from LA. I had no idea where we were going because Shane planned the whole thing and didn't tell me anything. I just noticed that we kept going north on the 15. At one point, we were driving straight through Vegas. And so we wound up in Utah. And we ended up staying just outside of Zion National Park in a little town called Hurricane. It was kind of funny, by the time we got to Las Vegas, that was already a long drive, and for a lot of people, like, that's their destination, but we just blew past it because that's how we do it. Hello! It is Saturday night, September 24th. I'm very, very tired. It's been a really, really long day, but a very good day. So we slept in, which was nice. Thank you, Shane. Usually he's like, have to be up by 6 and blah, blah, blah. So we went into Zion National Park. It was gorgeous. I love all the kind of red rocks and all the layers and stripes and striations and stratigraphy, as Shane likes to say. So we went into the park and we did a hike called Angel's Walk, I think. So it was basically 2.5 miles in, and it's kind of like uphill and, you know, kind of switchbacks and stuff like that. And then at the top of that hike is sort of like this beautiful overlook. So we stopped and had lunch, and then was the fun part and kind of the tricky part. So there's like this ridge line basically that has like 1,000-foot drop-offs on either side. You know, they have some chains along the way that you can kind of hold on to keep yourself steady. We did that, which was, I think, another mile, and that was, you know, a lot of scrambling and all that stuff. It was like really crowded, lots of people there, but we did it. It was super fun. We got to the top, and it was this gorgeous 360 view over the whole park and the canyon, and there were just like tons of cairns all over, because I guess it's also the top of a climb, so there had to be at least a dozen separate cairns at the top. So that was really awesome. I always feel sort of like that kinship with the climbing community when I see this. I get really excited when I see a cairn. And then we hiked back out and we went into town and had a lovely dinner, and then we went back to the hotel, and here we are. And I'm so tired, but it was a really, really good day, and I'm very, very happy.
Episode 2 is just a quick intro. We went from Zion in Utah, actually across the border into Colorado, and went to the Colorado National Monument and had some adventures there. So enjoy this Now the episodes are a little off. So episode 1 was day 1 and 2, and episode 2 is day 3 and 4. But it was a 10-day trip, so we have a lot to fit in. But enjoy this one on the couple days when we were over the border, out of Utah, but still part of the Utah adventure trip.
Hello. Bear says hello. It is Sunday, September 25th. This morning we got up around 8-ish and then left. Pretty much drove for a very long time. I think like 6 hours or so. We had left from Zion and we were continuing on the 15 for a while and listening to my dad wrote a porno all the way and laughing our butts off. My guess was maybe we're going to Moab, Utah, because it's a place that Shane has mentioned that he really loves and wanted to take me to. But then I saw signs for Colorado. But I could not figure out where in Colorado we were going. So we crossed into Colorado and then we got to an entrance of a park and it was Colorado National Monument. So we drove through, we found a campsite, and then we kind of hiked around, drove around, went to the different overlooks and stuff like that. And it's just really, really, really gorgeous here. It's sort of, Shane kind of described it as like a mini Grand Canyon, I guess. I haven't been to the Grand Canyon. I still want, well, maybe I have when I was little, but it's been so long. But it definitely kind of feels that way. It's very grand and very canyon. And a lot of sort of like, when you see the pictures, it's sort of like reddish layered rock and stuff like that. But yeah, just really, really gorgeous and a relaxing day, which was nice after yesterday, which was really strenuous. So having a great time. Hello, it's end of day 4 of the anniversary trip. We got up this morning in the campsite at Colorado National Monument. We drove out to a route and we hiked in for a while, maybe an hour or something like that. But we started out kind of behind these really big houses, just kind of in the middle of the desert. We didn't see a ton of people on the way, and it was just an absolutely gorgeous hike because we were just surrounded on all sides by cliffs, basically. And so we hiked in, and we went to Otto's Trail, and it was kind of this tower standing alone in the valley. And we got there, and we did the first pitch. It's total 4 pitches, which was kind of a little bit scrambly. And then we got to the second pitch, and it's this kind of off-width chimney situation. And it was like just the most awkward width because you had to kind of do a real burly move to get up through it. But also like Shane's chest was just like big enough that he would get stuck. So he was leading that pitch, and we just kept trying all kinds of different things, and finally we had to call it. So we wrapped down and ended up hiking out. But the first pitch was super fun, and the hike was incredible. It was just really gorgeous and serene, and there was hardly anybody there. But on the hike out, we saw I think it was like a hawk or something like that, just kind of like lazily soaring over one of the cliff formations. And we were super like, oh my God, so excited. And then all of a sudden there were 4 hawks, like all kind of circling the same area. It was magical. It was kind of amazing. So that was definitely a highlight. And then we went into town. We happened to see across the street there was a restaurant called Boston's. And oh my God, our appetizer. They had bacon wrapped steak skewers. Oh my God, it was so good. And we're gonna sleep here and then head out tomorrow for our next adventure, which Shane knows all about and I know nothing about. So stay tuned.
Episode 3 is all about Arches National Park, and it features a blink and you'll miss her appearance from my friend Amanda, who, as Joyce talks about in passing, once saved my life on a big wall climb in Yosemite. So enjoy the reunion and the adventures at Arches.
Hello, just completed day 5 of the 1-year anniversary trip. It was Tuesday, well still is, September 27th. And this morning we got up, we packed up our campsite, and we drove for a while. I didn't really know where we're going, but then I noticed, now leaving colorful Colorado, and then shortly thereafter, welcome to Utah. And so we wound up going to Moab, which I'd kind of guessed because it's one of the places that Shane had said that he loved and he always wanted to take me to. The first spot we went to was, of course, the climbing shop. And then we went over to, I think it's called like McStiff's, some kind of restaurant for lunch. And we're sitting outside and hanging out. And then all of a sudden, this woman shows up with blonde dreadlocks, and it's Amanda, Shane's buddy from Yosemite, who once saved his life on a climb, and who I'm forever grateful to, so that I had a future husband to meet. And then after lunch, Shane and I headed over to Arches National Park, and we just kind of like drove all around. We stopped at the overlooks, and then we did a hike in to Landscape Arch, which is this really big, beautiful arch. That was really fun. It was a fairly easy hike. We took some pictures and all that stuff. We came back out, and then we drove around some more, and then we went to a second arch, which I think was Skyline. Very short hike, really cool, really pretty arch. And then the last spot we went to was kind of the most famous arch, I think, in the park. It's called Delicate Arch. Really iconic. I'm sure you've seen pictures of it. So it was quite the trek. You kind of, after you hike in a trail, there's sort of like this big, huge slab that you go up, which is fairly challenging. It's fairly steep. So we went up, and it was kind of awesome because this party of 3 behind us, one of them must have been some kind of guide, because he was giving this couple all these like facts about history and stuff. So it was like we got to have a free guided tour part of the way. And then we got up to the top, and it's kind of unreal how it's set up. It's like it's this amphitheater facing Delicate Arch, and there's just people seated all around taking pictures. Everyone's kind of taking turns taking photos of the arch. To be honest, I think like by the time I got up there, A, I was really tired, and B, there were so many people, so I think maybe I wasn't as kind of awe-inspired as I think maybe I should have been. But it was still gorgeous and amazing. I loved seeing all the different cairns. We hiked out, and then we met Amanda at a Thai place for dinner. And like total weirdos, we all got the same dish, basically. We all got drunken noodles. And then Amanda was gracious enough to let us crash at her place. So we went over to her house, which is apparently right next door to Steph Davis. She has an outdoor hanging bed. She's offered that to us, and we're really excited to sleep out there. So, to be continued.
Not much to tell in this one, as Joyce tells it all herself, but welcome to the Moab adventure with Amanda and friends. And bonus, if you can catch the infamous, in my world, Yosemite naked bike throwing story at the end.
Hello, end of day 6. We just had a very full day. Shane, me, Amanda, and Amanda's roommate Nate all went out to this area called Looking Glass. There's like no approach, basically. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. We didn't see a single other person while we were out there. And so we did a slab climb, real easy, like 5'4". So I ended up leading the whole thing, which was good practice for me. And then when we got to the top, we just kind of chilled a little bit. There's a nice little place to sit up there. And then on the rappel, it was super cool because to the start of the rappel is basically through like a window arch type situation. So that was super fun. And it was also quite the long rappel. So we all wrapped down, and then because the area that we're in basically creates an alcove, and in the alcove also is like this beautiful arch. So it was just a really, really beautiful setting. We decided to set up an alcove swing. So we did it, and Nate was kind of the first to go up and get set up, but he was nervous about it because he hadn't really done it and he couldn't really judge if it was safe or not. So Shane ended up going up because he's done the alcove swing before. And then Amanda went. And then I went, and it was my very, very first alcove swing ever. So it was a little terrifying, but it was super, super fun. I would definitely do it again. And then we went to Wall Street, which is just kind of this whole section of sport climbs just right off the street. Oh, and Amanda's dog Carabiner went with us. A little weirdo. Shane belayed this girl Kristen that we met up this route called 30 Seconds, which is a 5'9" crack. And then Shane top roped it, and he just sailed up it basically. I guess Shane had told Amanda to like tell me to climb it, so Amanda like came stomping over and was like, "Joyce, you're climbing this." It's like, okay. Yeah, I'm really glad that I did it because it challenged me and I got to try new things and I got to accomplish it. Amanda, like at one point it got dark, so we were there till it was dark, and she's like, I'm afraid to know what's on my leg. And so someone shined a light at her leg, and there was this like enormous spider with like really thick legs around her ankle. So that was a nice little moment. And then also Shane told his throwing his bike at a bear naked story.
Episode 5 has all the things. Canyonlands, Rain Day, Castleton Tower, Fisher Towers, Plaid! You'll find out in this episode coming at you right now.
We've just finished day 7 of 1 year anniversary trip. It is Thursday, September 29th. We woke up this morning to rain, so that put a bit of a damper on whatever plans that Shane had for us, because he had planned on quite a bit of outdoor adventuring. So we were trying to kind of figure out what to do, but we ended up heading out to Canyonlands National Park, and we did a lot of driving around, stopped by on overlooks, and we saw probably what was one of my favorite views of the entire trip. I think that was Grandview. Was it Grandview? Yeah, just stunning. And then it seemed like the weather was picking up or getting a little bit better. At least the rain had held up. So we decided that we would do some of the other things that we wanted to do. So we stopped by Amanda's again and we packed up. And then we went over to Castle Valley and we decided to hike into, what was that called? Castleton Tower? So this is something that for 20 years Shane had dreamt about doing. When he was coming up as a climber, he had seen pictures and, you know, it's kind of this amazing looking tower in the middle of this desert that looked really amazing. And so it was kind of the fulfillment of this 20-year dream, which is really awesome. So we drove out there. It's so beautiful. You're just surrounded by cliffs and you're driving alongside the Colorado River down into this valley, and there's like nothing around, nobody around, except for like the occasional, you know, place to rent space or whatever. And then we got there, we parked, and we hiked in. I think it took us about an hour and a half total to get up to the top. We got there and it was just amazing, the 360-degree view from the top there. and Shane kind of scrambled up a little bit on the first pitch and was able to see the climb. And then we hiked out. We got down just before it got too dark, and then we went over to Fisher Towers, which is where we are now, and we found a campsite and we set up, and we are about to go to bed. And then in the morning we are probably going to hike into the Titan, which is halfway to Fisher Towers. So hopefully the weather will permit us to do that. It was looking like it was going to rain again tomorrow, but fingers crossed, and we shall see. Funny thing is, we got here and it looked like there were no campsites left, but we actually snagged the very last one. And so we went up to the front to kind of fill out the paperwork and all that stuff. And this guy pulled up, and he's like bald, has this like big bushy mustache and beard. He asks like, "Oh, are like all the sites taken?" We're like, "Yeah, we got the last one." And he's like, "Oh, do you mind if we share? Like, do you mind if we split it?" And so we're like, yeah. It turned out that he had driven all night directly from Yosemite. We got to talking, and it turns out like he knows a bunch of the people in Yosemite that Shane knows, like Tom Evans, and he knows Amanda, who we've been staying with since we've been here in Moab, and he knows Eric Sloan, and so it was kind of crazy. And his name's Scott, but he goes by Plaid, and apparently it's because he has this amazing yellow plaid cap with like this palm on top, and yeah, it's been really fun talking to him, and it's such a character.
Here we are at episode 6 of the anniversary trip, and it's already starting to come to an end. We woke up and had an amazing day at Fisher Towers, and then we went to Bryce Canyon, and neither one of us had been there, so we had a great time. We got to stay in the teepee, we got to have buffet dinners with on-tap ice cream, all the things. So enjoy seeing the sights at both places as we start to wind this down to a close already.
It is the evening of day 8 of the 1-year anniversary trip. It's all kind of becoming a blur. So this morning we woke up and there had been some rain again, but it had stopped by the time we were up and about. So we hiked out to the Titan, which is kind of a big towery looking thingy. And on the way we passed Ancient Art, which is this squiggly looking formation that you can climb, and then when you get to the top you can stand at the very tippy top, which is the size and shape of a pizza box. So Shane has done this climb before, I have not, but we got to see a few climbers up there doing their thing. We hiked back out, we took down the tent, got in the car, and we went back to Amanda's and packed up. We had left, I think, like a water bottle there, so we went to pick it up, but in the meantime we kind of like cleaned ourselves up and washed our dishes and stuff, and then we drove for a while, and we wound up at this spot called Ruby's Inn, which is kind of this classic old spot that a lot of travelers would come through. We found our campsite, which turned out to be a teepee. A big old teepee, which I've never stayed in before. It has like this little short doorway, and you kind of pull kind of a canvas curtain over, and there's like a flap on the front. So that was our campsite that we will be sleeping in tonight. And then tomorrow is going to be an adventure day. I'm still not sure what we're doing, but we'll see. We are just finishing day 9 of our anniversary trip. It was Saturday, October 1st. Holy crap, October already. It was a very long and very full day exploring Bryce Canyon National Park. So we got up relatively early, but we, kind of took our time getting breakfast and things like that. And then we drove over to Bryce Canyon Visitor Center, looked around, and then we went over to Fairyland Canyon, and we did a hike of Fairyland Loop Trail, which is basically an 8-mile trek, and I think the change in elevation was something like 1,700, 1,800 feet or something like that throughout the course of the hike. We got there, and just even at the overlook, like such a unique landscape, like just the coolest, weirdest rock formation. So very like appropriately named Fairyland Canyon. So we did this hike, and it was by far our favorite hike of the trip. Just so much change in terrain and so many different types of rock formations and plants and all kinds of stuff. And we crossed over a very, barely trickling creek, but it was there. Because it's on a loop, we kind of would pass the same people twice. And so it was just all this, oh, hello again, hello again. It was just absolutely gorgeous. I would recommend it to everybody to try that hike and to visit there. Oh, and at one point we heard a bunch of like high school girls, and they were just like sitting around on the hike, and they were like singing at the top of their lungs, and one of them was playing music out of their iPhone. And so it's October, and they're singing Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, just like completely tone deaf, off key, but just like loving it and full on. It was kind of awesome. And then after the hike, we went over to the lodge, and we wanted to get some drinks, and then it suddenly started to rain and actually hail, so we had to rush inside, but we managed to get some hot drinks. And then we drove around. We went to like the south end of the park, and then on our way back we just hit up a bunch of the overlooks and viewpoints, which are really freaking cool. But Inspiration Point for sure in Bryce Canyon National Park is one that I would recommend visiting. And then we went back to Ruby's Inn. We had another buffet with more ice cream, and we are going to spend the night in the teepee again. And then tomorrow, unfortunately, is the day that we go home. So, coming to a close. It's been amazing and wonderful and beautiful. So,
Episode 7 is coming up, and it is the final episode of the anniversary trip. And in this, I surprised Joyce. We woke up in the teepee at Bryce Canyon, and we went to the Best Friends Sanctuary. And I encourage you all to look them up and to go donate, because they're one of the largest animal sanctuaries in North America, and they will pick up and rescue any kind of animal and take care of it. So it's a great place, and it was also really fun to surprise her with that, because she just thought we were getting in the car and driving home, and instead I'm like, oh, what's this place? Maybe we should stop here. And of course I already looked it up and knew like when the tours were and all that stuff. So we got to spend the whole day seeing animals, and then we drove home. It took like, I don't know, 10 hours, and we got home really late, and it was exhausting, but we had a great trip. And there is a bonus episode, so keep watching, because episode 8 is coming, even though the trip is officially over at this point.
hello, end of day 10, the final day of our anniversary trip. So we woke up this morning in our teepee in Bryce Canyon early, because we had a long day. I thought we were just headed home, but Shane surprised me. We made a stop on the way, and it happened to be an amazing stop. It was the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary in Kanab, Utah. So they are basically the largest no-kill shelter and animal sanctuary in, I think, the world. And they have like 3,700 acres, and they have dogs, cats, horses, pigs, sheep, all kinds of birds, wild turkeys. So we actually stopped in, and they had free tours available, so we did a 2-hour tour. We drove around, and they pointed things out. We made 2 stops, basically one for me and one for Shane. I mean, not really, like they didn't stop the tour for us, but the first stop was to see the senior dog area, and so they brought out one of their senior dogs to come out, and got to pet her, and she was so sweet. And then we stopped at the cat area, and Shane got to pet all the kids. That was really great, and what a wonderful surprise, and what a wonderful way to cap off the trip. And then it was basically just a long drive home. Unfortunately, we hit traffic, so we got home a lot later than we expected, so it is very late, and we're very tired. And we both have to go to work tomorrow. All in all, just an incredible, wonderful, happy, fulfilling trip. It was good to just unplug and
be with each other and be outside in so much vastness. And yeah, there's so much beauty in this country. And who knew that Utah had so many national parks? 5, in fact. And we hit 4 of the 5, and then the 5th one was Colorado National Monument. That is that. Can't wait till next year. See what next year holds. Bye.
Hello, true believer. Thank you for watching this whole season. And as I mentioned, there is one more episode. Episode 8 is The Swings, where you get to see both Noyce and I and Amanda and her housemate, who we all went out and did the rope swings at the top of a climb when we were in Moab. And it was really fun to remember the old times, because Amanda and I knew each other from Yosemite Valley, and we would do the alcove swing up on El Cap. So enjoy these swings, and I hope you have some adventure coming up. And again, this is the legacy season, where I'm taking each year or season of the Fresh Crow franchise and putting it together with some behind the scenes and bonus stories and tales. So please go to my YouTube channel and like and watch all the original episodes, and share and all the things. So hope to see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Nicely. Oh, nice spin.
Ooh, yeah, style points.
Tuck the legs.
And tuck. Where's the spin, damn it?
Look over the shoulder.
Tuck and spin. Use seconds. That not spinner.
Let's get a good line release technique. When to get back up on the horse? No.
I'm Jake Levitt. I have red hair. I'm sitting in a chair. I don't really know what else to say. Hi. Anyway. You're saying I'm almost dead, and I said that they're all dead. They're all dead. Like, I was just not dead yet. It should be fixed. But